Hello everyone, welcome back to the Life as an Autistic Person podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the paranormal and supernatural, the interests that I've had, along with the experiences that many other autistic people have revolving this topic. I've had this video planned for a little while now, I just haven't had time to do it until now. But even still, I don't know how long this video is going to be. It might be shorter, it might be longer than other episodes. I don't know, but I'm just interested to talk about all this stuff, so yeah. I guess we should start off with what I'm talking about with regards to autism. Like, why am I talking about this topic specifically? Well, I want to first bring up the many experiences that other autistic people have involving the supernatural and paranormal stuff. I have done a bit of research into this, and it appears that a lot of autistic people seem like they are more sensitive to stuff like this. So, like, for example, some more autistic people are more likely to say, oh, I see a ghost, I see aliens, for example. They're more likely to do that. That's not to say that, of course, normal non-autistic people can't see that, obviously, or say they see that or whatever. But it feels like it's maybe a little bit more common for autistic people. And that could be for a few reasons, but probably for the main reason is just the fact that we are known for being different. So we are more likely to be more open-minded about different things, things that don't really makes sense to like the general public, like ghosts, spirits, all that sort of stuff, aliens. It could also be that we just have different senses compared to other people, which is true. This is a common thing. We have different sensitivities, sensitivities to light, hearing, all this sort of stuff. And so we can maybe interpret that, as, oh, maybe that's a ghost or something, So yeah, it's just a thing that many autistic people have. And some of the experiences I've had a few ghost-related experiences in my life. But, like, mostly I just get really scared. So even when I hear a ghost story or even something remotely scary, I get a little bit freaked out and paranoid, That's just a thing I am. I know some other autistic people are like the same way. They get a little bit paranoid when they hear that. Like, I watch a YouTube channel called Blame It on George or Blame It on Jorge. He pronounces it both ways or whatever. But he does like different things on scary stuff, but also like unsolved mysteries, lost media, all this sort of things. And basically with almost every single video he does, in fact, like 99.9% of videos, I'm just like kind of scared to watch them. Like, I watch them, but it can get a little unnerving, some more than others, even if it's something like lost media, which is not really scary. Like, it's not really scary as in like, oh, there's something that could happen to you, but it's just, I don't know, the thought of it is like, But anyway, so obviously that kind of freaks me out. But in terms of actual ghost things or spooky things that happen, I will say that I did have one time where I felt like I really did felt there was like a ghost or something, and like. So I slept with my mom for like the longest time, like downstairs. I'm upstairs now, and in her room or whatever. And for like a little bit, she had like not a doll. It was like a statue thing of like a girl, like a little girl or something like that. And I remember feeling very uncomfortable with it. And I think I even like felt it or saw it. I don't remember exactly, but it like I thought it moved. I thought it moved, and I was really freaked out by it. Like that was the most thing that I felt like, okay, there's something going on there. But usually I don't have experiences in real life, like with ghosts or supernatural things, I will be talking about my interests and all that stuff in a little bit. But in terms of like experiences, the only one I've had like physically was that one. But I've had like ones where I've had dreams about different things. I've had scary dreams, like I remember one dream where, oh my god, like I was walking down the hallway where the kitchen is, and I saw like a little girl, and like she was telling me to follow her, and she was like a ghost or something. And then like I woke up, it was like scary. I had another dream where I went to the bathroom that was downstairs, and like it was a big bathroom, and then there was like another ghostly thing going on. But not all of these have been scary. Some of them have been good. I've had a few dreams with my dad who passed away, and some of those dreams, those dreams in particular are really good and really sad at the same time, because like one time I had a dream where he told me that he was scared of the dark too. I was like scared of the dark for like a while, until I was like 9 or something, and he told me he was scared too, like when I was when he was my age, at the time. But he eventually just learned to, like, he told me some advice how he learned to deal with it. You just gotta be brave, take it one step at a time, and it was like a good advice. And then I actually learned to stop being afraid of the dark for the most part. Sometimes I get a little bit freaked out, here and there sometimes, but overall I'm mostly good now, so that's good. And I've had other dreams where he gave me advice or talked to me, and I honestly do believe in like this supernatural paranormal stuff, like ghost spirits. You could say not all of the ghost stories you hear are true. That's obviously probably true. All of them are not true, because they're like exaggerated, or people just make up things for fame, or they have a mental illness. But I do think there is some credibility in some of them. So I do believe in that stuff. And I especially believe, and this is the main thing I really believe in, is aliens. Aliens, aliens, aliens. I believe in this one full-heartedly. So did my family. My dad and my mom believe in aliens. In fact, my mom told me this story one time where, before I was born, like a year before I was born, a few months before I was born, something like that, they saw a like weird triangle. It looked like a ship, right? It wasn't like an airplane, and they saw that was underneath, that was like above their car, and and like it was like freaky to them. And then like it was weird, because after that happened, I came around. So because of that, it made me think, oh, maybe I'm an alien, or something like that. But yeah, my mom told me that story, and like my dad was always like had a lot of things of aliens, and I was also freaked out by aliens when I was younger, because one time we went to like Roswell, and we got like a alien like inflatable thing, and it was in my room, and it freaked me out. So me and my cousin like popped it or whatever, because I was freaked out by it, because I think I sensed like something was off about it, or maybe I was just scared about it. I was really young, but still, like, I've had experiences with like aliens, and I do believe in them, because like it just doesn't make sense that there is like no life out there, and for the longest time, aliens and space were actually my special interests. They still kind of are in some ways, though gaming is my main special interest, specific games being like Xenoblade that I care about, Splatoon. But yeah, for like a while, space and aliens was my special interest. And I always found it fascinating, I always looked at, planets and be like, how come aliens don't, because lots of people always say like scientists are like always looking for planets that have similar things to Earth, and I always keep thinking aliens don't have to be in the same atmosphere as us. They could have their own planet that they originate from, and it has like a different atmosphere that we can't breathe, but they can. Why do we have to find a planet that works for us, to find other life, when that's probably not how other life originates, so that's just my opinion. But yeah, I was just always fascinated by it, and by ghosts in extension. I grew up also watching a lot of like ghost videos, even though it freaked me out. I still watch them, like top 10 mysterious things that can't be explained by scientists or something, moving statues, or like stuff like that. I was always fascinated by it, even though I was freaked out. because I think the reason I was fascinated by it and why many other autistic people are is just the fact that we kind of relate to that stuff, you know? We're also maybe a little bit more sensitive to that stuff because we have different senses or heightened senses compared to other normal people, quote unquote normal people. But yeah, we also just relate to being like odd ones out. So we want to, connect with others, even if those are others are like supernatural or paranormal, or things that people just normally don't believe. But that's just my opinion. Oh, and along with the topic of like paranormal and supernatural stuff, I also was a little bit freaked out in the past, but still a little bit nowadays, is the prospect of zombies. I was really terrified of zombies. In fact, sometimes I still get the image like, oh, maybe one day on the news or like a thing will appear on TV that says zombies have risen, be careful, all that stuff. Sometimes it makes me worried, and there's reason to believe this because there is, like, I think there is actually a government thing just in case there is zombies or something. There's like something official in the government about zombies, and that's kind of freaky. So I'm like, what's going on over there in the government? So yeah, I was always fascinated by them, but like in a really terrified way. I mean, sometimes I'm terrified of aliens and ghosts and stuff like that, but I'm more calm about them. With zombies, I'm like, there's nothing to be calm about. That's just horrible. Like no good chance out of that. But sometimes I still feel like that way with aliens. Sometimes I felt like, oh, what if they come in and attack us, ghosts? What if, I don't know, if they just pop up and they scare me and I die, or I don't know. I get terrified, but like zombies was really where it was at for me. Like, I guess on the topic of paranormal and supernatural, we should talk about religion, which is sort of in the same vein. I have made this clear probably in other podcast episodes and other videos on my channel, but I am a bit religious. Like, I'm not full on wholeheartedly religious. Like, I follow the exact practices of God. I go to church every Sunday, all that stuff. My family used to go to church on Sundays. But yeah, I'm not really into that stuff. But I do believe in a God, and I do believe in praying, especially when times get tough. I do think that is helpful, and I do think there is like a heaven, At least I would like to believe it. I just feel like it makes sense because our body, like even in the scientific sense, because matter cannot be destroyed and our bodies are made of matter. We get reused in like the universe or something like that, our energy is still around, so I think that makes sense for it to be like in like heaven, and plus, the experiences I've had with my dad in like dreams, I feel like those are actually him, because I never heard this story about him, being scared of the dark, I never heard that from my mom, my dad, when he was around. Like, I was told that in my dream, and I feel like it was actually true. So I do believe in that, which I have talked about this in a dedicated video about autism and religion, how there are a lot of people that are autistic don't believe in religion, but there also is a lot of people that do. And I think it just kind of depends where, we're a little bit more skeptical to be in like a little bit of a hive mind, which many religions are kind of, especially things like Jehovah Witnesses, which, oh boy, I should maybe make a rant video about them at some point. But yeah, like those are a hive mind, for example. Things like cults, that are pretending to be religions. Many autistic people just, we feel different, so we don't want to do that. But at the same time, some people do. They want to be like the same as everyone else. And there's other reasons, to be religious or not to be religious, Like you see, again, we may be more sensitive to like these things, and we see things that like don't make sense. We want them to make sense, so maybe we believe in religion, or vice versa. We see things so logical, we're like, no, there makes no sense for religion. It just depends on what type of autistic person you are. But for me, I am religious, though not to like a big degree. But besides aliens, ghosts, even zombies, like I don't really think any of the other things are real, from like other supernatural paranormal things, stuff like I don't believe in vampires, or witches, like basically any of the other things I don't really believe. I feel like ghosts, aliens, and zombies, they're like the most likely to be real out of all of them. Like, I feel like there's more scientific basis around it. I am scientific along with being like, skeptical, like, about science, like, I believe in science, but I also think there's a lot of things science just can't tell us yet because we haven't figured it out. So I just, that's what I think. I guess Bigfoot would also go into this category, although I just see him as like a basically a ape, so I feel like he has to be real. Things also like Nessie, like I feel like they have to be real because of one, the sightings that they have been had, and also just the fact that we don't know everything about the world. I say this commonly, but we only know like 10% of the ocean. We don't know what 90% of the ocean has. Who's to say we don't have something like mermaids, and like that, the same goes for, I mean, we know a lot about the earth, like above land, but we don't know everything, like we didn't know for the longest time about different species that were still alive, we thought were extinct, so I think anything is all in all possible. Now, I guess I should talk more about the special interest in regards to these paranormal and supernatural things. Like, again, my special interest for the longest time was space and aliens, and I remember very, very much so, especially in like 4th, 5th grade, I used to watch a TV show called Ancient Aliens, which I know even back then that it wasn't fully, based on real stuff. There were just basically conspiracy theories made by people for entertainment, but I was still fascinated by them, and I watched other shows that were more truthful, dare I say. They had more things going on that you're like, oh, okay, that could actually happen. Other alien shows and alien videos about, like, abductee stories, but I used to always be fascinated by all those types of stuff, and just because like, again, it's just I related to them. I had no idea I was autistic at this time, but I just related to the concept of aliens for being different and just being fascinated with all this weird stuff. I used to also be really into trying to like make sense of something that people said was fake or not real, stuff like aliens, ghosts, and try to make them, be like real in a scientific sense. I used to be the same way even about Santa Claus. Yeah, Santa Claus. I know, I hate to say this, he's not real, sorry to say that. But to be honest, I still kind of have a little bit of hope, just a teeny tiny bit of hope that he is real. I don't think he's real anymore, but again, I have a tiny bit of hope still left, like 1%. And the reason I believe this is just because of the fact that I do think scientifically it could work. Science could back up a Santa existing. And, his powers, his magic, quote unquote, could actually be scientific stuff, hyperspeed, that could be, it's science fiction, but it could also turn out to be something like real life, and I used to believe in it because it just made sense that, especially because sometimes my family wouldn't get gifts, like my mom didn't have money, and we were still able to get gifts. So I just felt like, Santa had to be real to some extent. Now I realize, my mom didn't have really money, but like my mom's boyfriend slash my stepfather, I don't know how I would describe it, but he helped give presents, and this past year we did not receive any presents at all for Christmas, and that kind of really opened my eyes to be like, yeah, like even, like as the years went on, I realized, okay, it wasn't, Santa Claus, it was my mom, but I still had faith that there was a Santa Claus somewhere out there helping, really, really unfortunate people. But then when, we didn't get any presents at all for last year. I felt a little bit like, my hope in Santa died, and I was what? I turned 19, so yeah, you could say, oh, that's so stupid. You believed in Santa since 19. That's not true. I kind of gave up believing in Santa since, I guess, later than, many people expect, which was like maybe 15, 16. I still believed in Santa, maybe to varying degrees, but I still did. But probably because of last year, I feel like, yeah, he's not real, but I don't know. I still have a little bit of glimmer of hope. That someday, even if he's not real, he could be real someday. Technically, he was real, Saint Nicholas, the real guy. But I'm talking about like the one we know of today. I think he could become real at some point, if he isn't already real already. But yeah, I just like to make sense of things with scientific knowledge, even though lots of people say, oh, this isn't real, this didn't happen at all. So also, another paranormal or supernatural experiences that I've had, again, the statue thing was the biggest one, but I remember one where I kind of experienced like deja vu, kind of, sort of. Just like the only time I experienced it. Well, actually, there were two times I experienced it. One time it was like basically I jumped to a whole different universe. It was weird. I'll explain that one in a bit. But this one was like deja vu in like the purest sense, where in fifth grade, I remember it was in PE time. I went to go like it was time to pack up and go to. I forgot. Was it? I forgot in fifth grade if you went home after PE, if you went to another class. Either way, we're packing up to leave the PE, and I went to go grab my water. But then, as I blinked and grabbed the water, I was standing like way further away than I was, and I did not grab the water bottle at all. And I was like, what the heck just happened? That was really weird. So then I went up and then grabbed the water bottle again, and it was fine, but like it was like a weird thing. Like I don't know what happened there. Like I swear this is exactly what I saw. Another thing that happened, which was similar, but it was also different because they said different things. Let me explain. So this was like in sixth grade, so a year after actually, in middle school now, where it was like towards the end of sixth grade, I believe. But it was me and this guy who was my friend at the time. I actually don't remember who. I think I remember who it was, but I had a few quote unquote friends in middle school. Most of them were not actually my friends. I just kind of pretended they were because I wasn't being my true self and I was masking. But anyway, this friend that I had, I guess you could say, in the class, the teacher told us that we had homework to do, right? We had homework and it was going to be due tomorrow. But then as everyone was leaving, it was me and him. And we were like the only ones left because, I would talk with my friends and then before we go. And then like it felt like something changed, like something felt like a glitch, like something changed. And then I think most of the people were still gone, but I think there was like some new people that were there, like in the classroom, that left before. So I'm like, that's weird. But then I heard a teacher say something about how there's no homework today. And then I'm like, what? What are you talking about? You just said there was homework like earlier today. So I asked her myself, I'm like, what? Don't we have homework today? And then she was like, no, we don't. And then that was it. So, and my friend, he said there was no homework. So it was weird. It was weird. Like I went to like an alternate universe where we did not have homework. And it was just really freaky, like I fully believe in like this stuff, like paranormal, supernatural stuff. I don't really have a explanation for what happened, I wasn't on drugs, I don't, it wasn't a dream. It was real life. It happened in real time, and I just don't have any explanation for it. So I think the last paranormal or supernatural experience I should mention is something that I don't remember because I was a baby, but my mom does, where basically this is a short story. It's basically where I was in a crib, like in my room, and for some reason, I was able to get out of the crib even though it was way higher than me, and I was able to walk around. And like my mom was very confused because there was nothing. There was like no way I could have gotten out of there. It was like really tall, and like I don't know, it just didn't make sense. But yeah, obviously I don't remember that, but but it is weird, it's just weird. Like, how did I even do that? Of course, there's times where I feel like I've heard my voice called, which I believe is a real phenomenon called echoloa or something like that. I don't know. But it's like a real phenomenon where you heard your name called or something like that. But like I actually felt it for real. I don't know. I just think there's a lot of things that we can't explain with science that I think make sense for paranormal or supernatural things to actually be real. And I know many other autistic people feel this way. Of course, this doesn't mean every autistic person connects with the paranormal and supernatural, believes in it. But I think a lot of us do find it at least fascinating. We find it weird and interesting, and maybe because we can relate to it, or maybe because some of us can actually sense something. I think it's just because of the fact that we relate to it, and we develop special interests on many things, and this could be one of them with me, which I had. So yeah, but let me know what you think. Do you have any experiences with the supernatural, paranormal? I've been using those words interchangeably, even though I know there's a difference. Supernatural is things like ghosts, I believe, and superheroes, while paranormal is can also be ghosts, but it can include things like aliens, or maybe it's the other way around with supernatural and paranormal. I don't remember exactly. There's some differentiators, but overall, let me know what you think about this in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. It's been a while since the last one, but that's because I haven't really had much to discuss. I did have another idea, but I basically covered it a lot in another episode where I was talking about my love life. I had an episode dedicated to that, going even more in depth, but I don't know if I should do that because, again, I covered it heavily and already in the podcast thing. So I don't know. Let me know if you want to hear about that. But otherwise, I'll see you all next time for another episode of the podcast. Eventually, I guess. Peace. Bye, everyone.